Hey everyone, what a show I have in store for you. We have a hell of a show for you tonight. This is a wild case. Sorry. This is a wild case. I've been on top of this case for a little bit. We're waiting on some more mechanisms to start moving and working together. I'll tell you more about that as we proceed with this stream. But y'all remember this guy? Put it on the chat if you know who that is. I'm curious how well people have been following. Put it on in chat if you remember who either this is or the Sheriff Jamey Noel from Clark County, Indiana, that's now in prison. Put it on in chat if you recall either one of those two, either him or Jamie Null. Let's see how many of y'all been keeping up with everything on the channel. Okay, so this is the detective that got Jamie Null busted. Right? He's the one that did all the work. It was him and his team. This is the supervisor or superintendent, I think, of the Indiana State Police. These two guys work together really well on public corruption cases. That's what they do. This guy is the Obi-Wan Kenobi of what's left of good apples. Okay, he's a phenomenal investigator who does not allow bias to get in his way when he's doing a corruption case. This guy, all right, his name's Jeff Hearon. I've met Jeff several times. I worked with Jeff outside of directly because I was a whistleblower. I couldn't be a whistleblower. I was a tipster, I guess, in the Jamie Null case. And so I've met both these two multiple times, and they did a fantastic job in their capacity on the Jamie Null case. A lot of work went into that. They were the ones that had to get the warrants. They were the ones that had to do the number digging. They were the ones that had to verify everything in Jamie's case. And by God, they did it. There was a lot of stuff that we would have liked to have seen also. Some of Jamie's people getting charged for, and it's still in the works. Like there's John Miller just lost his appeal just the other day where he was trying to get out from being under the same judge. You remember that guy, John Miller, the one that we caught Jamie Null on the phone with at the fair? John Miller, who's John Miller? That's what I said. Jamie showed me his phone, and John Miller called him while I was auditing him. I guess you call it audit, while I was pressing him. And John Miller called him, which was normal for them two. They were always calling to conspire. But John Miller's facing charges in that case still today. Anyway, so this guy and this guy are the ones that made that happen. And it doesn't matter where you stand in the political spectrum. One thing that I'm certain that we all agree on is that when government officials commit crime, we need them to face accountability as well. Am I right? They need to be charged when they've broken the law as well. Am I right? Put a one in chat if I'm right, if we agree on that. Sock Generally Specific account for $2 says, I no longer endorse JJ. I apologize for everything. Well, that's good of you, fake Todd. Now, if we could just get the real Todd to fess up, it's like pulling teeth, right? Okay. So, what we're going to do here is everything working good. What we're going to do here, I'm going to roll you into a short intro, remind everybody about the Jamie Null case. But when we come back, I'm going to be showing you how this guy, the good apple, the one that we all, no matter where we're at on a political spectrum, need to be able to get the job done with using the government to be able to ensure that accountability is met by corrupt government officials, was doing a case on, it's so backwards. How do I, on this guy right there, right? I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's Kenlinger. He's a sheriff of Dubois County. Okay. So this guy who busted Jamie Null and got him convicted was now working on this guy's corruption. Okay. But this guy was good friends with that guy and political allies. And that would be this guy, Senator Braun, became senator and shut the investigation down. Not only did he shut the investigation down, but he took action against this guy. That's what we're going to cover in this video. So let's do an intro and we'll get into the nuts and bolts of it. But this is all happening now, and this shit really needs to get very much popularized. So we're going to help make that happen. And we'll talk about it a lot more after the intro. So stay tuned and enjoy less than 1 moment of a reminder. My girlfriend and I were victims of a botched police raid that was performed by Clark County, Indiana Police Department, Sheriff's Department.
According to court documents, Chris Ryder was severely beaten during the raid and his girlfriend's back was broken. That led them to filing a federal lawsuit against the Sheriff's Department for civil rights violations, alleging they falsely obtained the warrant.
It led us to need to start researching records and getting information and intel from people that might know anything, so that we could understand how does something like this happen inside of the sheriff's agency.
Ryder says what they found was evidence of widespread corruption within the department, evidence they turned over to the Department of Justice. He has documented his journey on his YouTube channel called For Public Safety. For Public Safety. For Public Safety. For Public Safety.
Well, okay, fill me in.
Just dig, brother. You're a truth finder. You find it.
I am a truth finder.
Absolutely.
You're right about that. He was right. He was right that we were truth finders. I wonder how he feels about telling us to dig now. He's got a lot of time to think about it, don't he? And part of that, we owe to, this guy right here, because he's the one that was in the government position to get the work done on the corruption case. I got a problem with a lot of cops because there are a lot of bad apples. I got a lot of problem with a lot of government officials because there are a lot of corrupt ones. But one thing I don't have a problem with is a detective or an investigator or an official or an officer who's actually abiding by their oath and trying to help get shit done when we have criminals inside the government agencies. Like, we need more of that. Okay. It's not getting done. And I'll tell you why. It's not getting done because when they do their job too well, then senators start coming after him. They use the people's very own agency to make problems for him. Okay. To the point where guys like this dude here, want to leave their job. They want to retire and quit. They know they can't get nothing done. You want them all to get something done. You all are always demanding. We're always demanding. I'm one of them. We're always demanding that they get this shit done. If they get the criminals out of government. But when they do, these guys get railroaded. They get thrown under the bus. And the only option that they have is to leave the government, which is fine. But that leaves us not receiving the accountability that we've been demanding. And this is the perfect case to show you where that's happening again now with people who have been successful at getting shit done their whole 35-year career. Okay? We're going to read a story about this little feller, this little Dubois County, Indiana sheriff, together real quick. That's what we're doing next. And then we may listen to an interview after that. Bear with me. Tiffany says hi, and she loves all of you. She's going to pick us up a pizza right quick. Let's see. All right. This one here, you want to see this. And props to the editor of this, or the publishers of this story. I highly recommend this paper. So Casey Smith covered quite a bit on the Jamie Null cases, did a very good job, did some deep diving, and like I said, the publications were on point. So I recommend this paper on these things. Can y'all see that? Put it on in chat if that's enough for you to be able to see. I'm going to read it. We probably won't read all this. I think we're going to go into an interview with Doug Carter, the superintendent for ISP, former. He retired after this mess, but we'll probably go into an interview with him. Anyway, a months-long state police investigation into Dubois County Sheriff Tom Kleinhelter, somebody can help me out with that, scrutinized his handling of jail commissary funds. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? But unlike a high-profile case against former Clark County Sheriff Jamie Null, no charges were filed, and the only person disciplined was the detective who pursued the case. Well, that sounds fishy. Some of the information became public during a July 25th interview with conservative talk radio hosts Rob Kendall and Casey Daniels. Former Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter made explosive allegations that Governor, at the time, now Senator, Mike Braun's office was involved in squashing the investigation, but provided no evidence, is what they're claiming. Provided no evidence. But Doug Carter, superintendent for ISP for his entire life long, who's done nothing but succeed in helping with the ISP with corruption cases. You think he's just going to go in there and say that shit with nothing to back it up? I would say that, well, we'll just listen to the interview. I'll let you all determine whether or not he backed anything up or not, because I disagree with the statement that he didn't offer any evidence. Maybe he didn't have it in hand, but he directs us to way more than enough evidence, and I'm going to show you a lot of evidence during this. Okay, so anyway, so he's on a talk show radio thing, and he's talking about this. Former Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter made explosive allegations that Governor Mike Braun's office was involved in squashing the investigation. Now, that's a lot. All right. Now, here's the deal. So this sheriff of Dubois County was caught red-handed stealing over, it's like $35,000 worth of stuff from the by the state's auditors. That's who he got caught by. All right. He got caught by the state's auditor's office, who turned it into Indiana State Police, and it's all documented. So Indiana State Police opened an investigation on it. I'm giving you the rundown. You can read I'll put a link to this everything in the description later. So this sheriff here, Kleinhelter, or what the fuck ever, Kleinhelter, this dude was caught red-handing stealing the shit out of taxpayer money. Okay? Using it for vacations, golf, all kinds of stuff, right? They even had a trip planned to Dubai, him and his wife. I mean, come the fuck on. So he's buying his deputies gifts out of the commissary. It's not what commissary funds are for, y'all. Commissary funds are not for the sheriffs and sheriff deputies just to blow it on whatever they want. It has to go back into the jail or the function that they're of the sheriff's department. Okay, that's what it's for. There is no excuses there. It's black and white law. Has to be done that way. And this guy just didn't give a fuck. All right, because he thought he was higher than the law. He thought nobody would ever do nothing to him because one of his buddies is Braun, a higher up government official in the state of Indiana. So, you know, Braun was born and raised in Dubois County, and certainly these two guys probably buddied it up all through school and stuff. And you know how the Thin Blue Line gang goes, you know, the buddy system, the good old boy network. So I'm sure this sheriff just thought, hey, I'll do whatever the fuck I want with the money and I'll hide it. Nobody ever find out, and we'll go on any vacation we damn well please, me and my wife. And it didn't work that way because the state's auditors caught him. And they said, nuh-uh, it don't look right. They said, we're missing a bunch of money out of the commissary fund. The media caught a hold of it. And after the media published it, this idiot starts paying back money. Okay. Now, at that point, ISP and Jeff Hearon, they got on the case. They had a detective that was assigned to it that didn't do anything, is what the two detectives are saying that are on it now, or were on it before Braun shut it down. But they said that they had to just start from scratch because the guy that was assigned to it by a special prosecutor didn't do shit. He didn't know what he was doing. It's probably over his head, and he was probably scared of the retaliation that he knew he was going to get from it. And he damn well should be, because, you know, they got Jeff is in hot water now and received a bunch of policy violation citations, and basically stuck him in a job that'll never matter to anybody. Like, they just stuck him in a position where he's hidden, and completely unhelpful to us, we the people. You know, now you're talking about the guy that actually succeeds at busting corrupt criminal government officials, and they're going to punish him for doing his job too well. All right. So he was doing his job real well on this guy, and he got a bunch of warrants. He did a bunch of audit searches. He dug deep, and he found it. He found what he was looking for. He found theft. He found fraud. He found ghost employment. He found official capacity corruption. Okay. And he documented it all on, I think it was an 85-page probable cause affidavit. Here it is, 80-page probable cause affidavit prepared by investigator Lieutenant Jeff Hearon. That was submitted to the prosecutor. So to give it to this prosecutor here, I'm going to show you who the prosecutor is. And here's the State Board of Accounts that actually caught the guy stealing money. We'll go back over to that in just a minute. Here's search warrants, probable cause affidavit. This is at over 80 pages right here. We won't go through all that, but if you want to, we can. So here's the prosecutor. Put her on a chat if y'all think she looks like one of them corrupt little thin blue line gang bitches. Like, to me, she just looks like it. Like, I could tell you if I walked into her office and saw her, she wouldn't have to say more than 2 sentences before I would be like, hold up. Who the fuck are you? You play cover up, little girl? That's what I think. I think she's easy to spot. Like, sticks out like a sore thumb. But she decided that no matter how many pages of proof, no matter how many judges signed off on warrants because probable cause existed, no matter how many pages of probable cause exist, no matter how many dollars they could prove were stolen from taxpayers, no matter what the behavior of the senator's buddies, she's not going to press charges on this case. Y'all seen where I've walked into public officials and said, here it is, black and white, you can't deny it. What are you going to do with it? And they go, we're not going to do nothing. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do anything. You can be showing them a felony that just happened, and they'll say, no, we're not going to do nothing. Because why? Because it's one of the thin blue line gang members, right, who committed that felony. And in this case, this guy committed a bunch of felonies, this Dubois sheriff. And she says, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Now, Doug Carter, the former superintendent of ISP, he seems to think that she was directed not to do it by Senator Braun, okay? Because of more than just the fact that Braun and this sheriff of Dubois County are not just good buddies, but they're actually very close political allies for the red team, okay? And as soon as Braun got into a position of power beyond, like, first he was the governor, but now, he's senator. Immediately then, there's this meeting between the sheriff and the original prosecutor, and all of a sudden, Braun gets involved, and all of a sudden, boom, the case gets shut down. Let's listen to some audio. Let's see. I probably have to share this. Let me see how I can do this. Let's listen to some audio of an interview. Guys, put a one in chat if you would like for me to contact Doug Carter to possibly come here. And would you all like to talk to him a lot more about this case directly here on this channel? I actually have some connections to him as I assisted in the Jamie Null case. This Doug Carter was one of the contacts that was involved in that. I think I could probably get him on the show. I'd like to ask him some questions about this case. And see, he's just whistleblowing. I mean, he's not going to throw him under the bus or anything like hard. Like, he's not going to go hard, but he's going to tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'd like to have him directly. I'd also like to talk to him more with you all about what some of the stuff we went through with the Jamie Null case. Now that he's not working there anymore, he can probably do that. Here, let's listen to this together a little bit.
Vision First Eye Care is your top choice for you receive
one of Mike Braun's political allies. It's Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's here. This is an incredible story, and we have an incredible guest to help tell it. And the story involves Tom Kleinhelter. He is the sheriff of Dubois County, I think what most people would say, a close political ally of Governor Mike Braun. And an investigation into public corruption the state police launched last year that leadership at the time felt was pretty strong. And then once Governor Braun became the governor and a new state police superintendent was named, the case mysteriously went away.
The crash was over in seconds, but the impact on your life is just beginning. The pain, the bills, the calls from the insurance, call the hammer.
Make gives you the service they
Sorry
make
about that commercial.
big enough to serve.
It's a case that I'd been aware of for quite a while now, and it had been on my radar. And when I reached out to you and we connected, you talked about the passion you had for this and how important it was for the public to know.
Now they're talking to Doug Carter, the former superintendent who worked the Jamie Null investigation along with Hearon. Okay, so this dude said, "I'm done. If we can't do our job, he might as well retire." And now he's speaking out. He was not like close buddies with Jeff, to the best of my knowledge. I think they were in like completely separate departments and everything, but they just worked. Like you've worked in a place before, I'm sure, or know of a place where people work there, where you got a few people that just work. They do their jobs impeccably well with one another, and I'm usually the last person, to say, "Oh, these cops did a good job." I'm usually the last person to say that. All right. But in this case, I will, because they did, they did a good job together. So in this interview, who they're talking to is Doug Carter, the former superintendent who actually left Indiana State Police after this incident. And now he's speaking out on this particular case because he's saying it was fishy. It was dirty. Here's why. This is, politics are fucking our jobs up. Y'all are never going to get accountability, more or less, is what's happening. So here we go. Let's listen in
about it. And we'll get into the details of it here in just a moment. But first of all, just kind of let everybody know, obviously, you're not the superintendent of Indiana State Police now, but you were when this investigation was launched, and you felt passionate enough about it now, even though you got nothing other than caring about the public involvedness. Why are you speaking out today?
Well, Rob, it's really pretty simple. I've always tried to live my life above reproach and above even a perception of impropriety. And a lot of things happened on my watch. I was the superintendent for 12 years, the longest in the history of the agency. I love the agency to this day, and I love its people even more. And we always tried to stand for what was right and do things the correct way, no matter the outcome. So we didn't have an anticipated outcome of almost anything. And we've talked much about Delphi and about Flora and about a lot of high profile cases. And there was a lot of criticism at the time about a lot of things, and that was okay. I wasn't afraid of that. But even though I'm retired now, and by the way, I retired, I wanted to. It was a 40-year career, a long time.
You're one of the few who goes by choice, not by force.
Yeah, right. And I as I watched a couple of events that occurred and cases that occurred on my watch, I'm mortified at how they've been handled. And I'm not going to let the right thing to do is what I'm doing. The wrong thing would be to do nothing.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to have.
Now look, the way he's talking on this radio show right now, that's the guy I talk to. Like the way he spoke to me in private is this. He's saying, look, a lot of cases have been inappropriately handled. I'm not here for that. I didn't put 40 years of my life into this gig, for that bullshit, for them to get away with it. I trusted them in what I offered on the Jamie Null case. Like these guys. Now these cops weren't at, my local post. You know what I'm saying? They came in from out of town, like Indianapolis, and it was a breath of fresh air seeing Jeff Heron's team and Doug Carter's team, come here and handle fucking business, Anyway, they didn't do it all. They didn't get to everything. Like they let Scotty Maples get off the hook, and now he's still sheriff and running for another term, which shouldn't happen. There were a couple officers that did not get charged for a lot of the shit they were getting away with because Jamie was so corrupt. They were very much involved and recipients of things they shouldn't have had. They didn't get it all, but they certainly tried to do stuff about anything we turned in. These guys certainly tried. So, he's not just blowing smoke, in my opinion. I don't think he's just blowing smoke in this interview. I think the man's speaking from his heart, and that's probably why he left. Maybe we can get him on here, and we won't pressure him too hard about his retirement, but I'd like to talk to him a lot about his employment history and corruption unit stuff. All right, let's keep going.
Have Doug in today, Casey, because obviously this involves the public interest, the public trust, allegations of violation of that. But also because we always talk about people stepping up and the need for people to speak out. And I think in the case of you, Doug, you gain nothing by doing this. It'll cause you more headaches. First of all, you're associating with us. That'll probably be a ding against your reputation. But you're doing it because you're saying this is the right thing to do, and you want to inspire others to do that.
I do.
Before we get into it, Rob, can we ask Doug Carter, former superintendent of the ISP, what is the job of the superintendent?
Oh gosh, that would take an hour plus to talk
Dealing
about it
with
all.
crap from people like us.
Essentially, that person runs a full service police agency from north to south, east to west. 1,800 people. Bad things happening to good people every single day. The legislative process, the political process, very complicated investigations, and then the work behind the scenes to keep all that going, keep it funded and keep it trained, and make sure those specialties are still there to support local agencies in large part. But in rural Indiana, we have an absolute presence. So we have an urban model, a rural model, and then a combination of those two. So it's a fast moving train every single day.
Yeah.
And it was difficult, but also the highlight of my life.
Yeah.
All right. So
let's get to
former Indiana
business.
State Police Superintendent Doug Carter is our guest. Let's talk about the case. And
There we
this
go.
is a case that has been
Here we go.
somewhat in the public eye, although it seems there's
Not
could be a
enough.
lot more to the story than what has been revealed. And that's what you're here to talk about today. And this involves the Dubois County Sheriff. His name is Tom Kleinhelter, and an investigation that took place. By the way, he's somebody that is very close to Governor Braun. If you Google those two names together, Tom Kleinhelter and Mike Braun, you'll see a big endorsement for Governor Braun. I believe he was in Governor Braun's campaign commercials. He's the sheriff of his home county. And this involves an investigation that you helped launch back last year while you were still superintendent, involving potential public corruption. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, essentially, Rob, to go back even before that, just very briefly, this is on the heels of the Jamie Null investigation in Clark County, which was the largest case of public corruption in our history.
Now, he's the former Clark County sheriff. He was a big power broker. He is currently in prison for various crimes against humanity, and you, the state police, helped see that investigation through.
Let me take a moment. Let me take a moment to pat myself and OMC on the back. Do I deserve to? Right? Do I deserve to? Me and Tiff been through a lot of shit because of that guy. We worked really hard to the point where we were recognized on the mainstream media. We uncovered things months before anybody else. We pressured Jamie to his face. We pressed him on the issues that nobody was talking about, that people were scared to even talk about. We walked up to him and said, talk about it. Talk about it. So let's just take a moment, because sometimes it's even hard for me to soak in the fact that Tiff and I were huge in exposing and bringing to fruition the biggest, let me say it again, the biggest corruption case in the state of Indiana ever. Choke on that, Direct D.
Yes, the same detective that ran that case was assigned to this one. Hugely complicated, hugely layered, a lot of money going back and forth in different places. So I watched that case very carefully. I watched it carefully as a protective layer around those that were doing the work, because some of this work was not very popular, but it was right.
How hard is a public corruption case, whether it was what you guys did with Noel, or whether this Dubois County Sheriff Tom Kleinhelter we're about to talk about? How hard is it to do a public corruption case for you guys as state police?
It's not hard if you do it the right way, and you do it with one outcome, and that's the truth. That you leave subjectivity out of it. You leave your personal opinions out of it. And what you do is through a series of steps with a little bit of technology, you find out the facts. We might exonerate the individual, and we've done that before.
Your goal is to get the truth. You don't go into like this investigation that you helped launch with Kleinhelter or Noel or anyone wanting them to be guilty.
Absolutely
You
not.
want to know the truth.
Oh, for sure. For sure. You can't make it up. I've said many times, I don't say what happened or they did what anymore, but we will always we always would have done the right thing for the right reasons. And that's maybe an altruistic approach, but it's just the way we have to do it without even the perception of impropriety. But some of these cases, Rob, to your question, lead to division, with political divide, with individuals not agreeing.
What he's here, Doug, I'll help you on that. What he's trying to say is that government officials retaliate. And maybe for Doug and Jeff, the only thing that they had to do was stay non-biased. But for us, we had to stay non-biased, present the facts, push them hard, and deal with retaliation. I mean, it's different when civilians are doing it. I'm glad that they had those protections from their positions because they're almost required. Because I mean, what could we, the people, have done, right? Like Tiff and I, we knew everything about what was going on and more, that he got convicted of, and a lot more. But what were we going to do about it other than just expose it? So exposing it is only half the battle, and that takes a lot. So to get to that level takes a lot. There was a whole team of us that were working together, in exposing. And then it turned into reporting. Okay. And these are the guys you're listening to the voice of one of the men who received these reports directly and did his job on them. So, I'm happy to showcase this guy. And like I said, I'm reaching out to a few people now. He may actually come on and talk to us directly on this channel. I was told he would like to, so we'll see what happens when I speak to him directly.
That makes them a bit difficult, but we have to stay above all that. And that's what the ISP should always stay above that.
Yeah. So let's talk about Kleinhelter, because obviously the thing holding over all this is he is very close to the governor. He had a very close relationship with the governor. The public can see it. You don't take our word for it. But tell us about Kleinhelter, what he's alleged to have done, and how he got on your radar.
Yeah. Well, he got on our radar because the State Board of Accounts, they do audits of units of government all over Indiana.
And we talked about them.
I think I said it backwards earlier. Used to be senator, now governor. Used to be senator. Braun was the senator here where I'm at. And then he became governor now. So, big jump in political power. The old governor was horrible, right? But this one obviously is going to do much worse because the old governor would turn a blind eye and even pat the back of corrupt government officials. But now we got a governor who will utilize his position and the access that he has in his authority to make sure that we don't receive any accountability when it comes to criminal government actors that he's buddies with, or that give him money for his campaign or support his campaign. Apparently, like, this is some dirty shit.
The other day, Casey and I talked about them. Their job is to go in and look at the finances of a local government entity. They do them for school corporations, cities, towns, counties, and make sure, to the best of their ability, money's being spent properly.
Correct. That's right. And
when this is over, after we hear, well, we probably won't do this whole interview, but here in a few minutes, we'll pull up those State Board of Accounts documents. I'm going to show you guys how busted this sheriff was. Like, it's so obvious.
Since they don't have law enforcement authority, now one of them is a retired trooper, one of them is a retired FBI agent. So these guys have extensive knowledge. And when they go in and do these audits, it's not a source of intelligence. It's not a rumor. It's not a conversation that occurred. They have articulable facts that they believe leads to criminal behavior.
How are they received when they show up to do an audit?
Generally pretty well. Okay. I was a sheriff. Yeah. And I remember when they came in and I was tried to be as obviously as transparent as can be, and there are no secrets here. Generally speaking, they're very receptive.
Okay, so they got wind, right? Or did they just find this through their regular audit?
It was a regular audit.
Okay.
Yes.
So Kleinhelter, as the sheriff of Dubois County, he controls what's called the commissary. Can you just very briefly explain what that is?
It's explained in Title 36 in Indiana Code, Indiana law. And it gives 9 reasons that how the commissary funds can be used.
What is
commissary funds are generated by the inmates purchasing tangible items
in the jail.
In the jail.
Okay.
In the jail.
I love how his mind just pops the statute off, the sex term law. You know what I'm saying? That gives you the mindset to understand this guy. He's not biased. He's black and white. They said, well, tell us what the commissary is. The average person would say, well, that's what the inmates eat off of and the money that comes in for blah, blah, blah. Not this guy. He says Section 36 describes it. That's where you find the description of what the commissary is and how it's supposed to be used. That's what I'm talking about. We need more of that. Put a one in chat if you agree. We need more of that.
And it's meant for operation of the agency, essentially.
And the sheriff then, and this is true in every county, they oversee that the money that comes in from the commissary.
They do. And there's also a requirement that they communicate twice a year with data and documents to their county council, the fiscal body of the county, so that they can see how those expenditures are being made.
Okay, so what did State Board of Accounts allegedly find when it came to dealing with Kleinhelter and the commissary?
Specifically travel. There were some travel vouchers and travel expenses that came up that drew significant attention by the State Board of Accounts. We knew nothing about this at the time.
State police.
The state police, right. We get wind of this when they reach out to us officially and say, we think there's a criminal predicate here. Would you look into it for us? They have a public document that's available to all of our citizens that explains what they found during that audit. So that's all public record.
Former police state superintendent Doug Carter is our guest. We're talking about an investigation that he helped oversee last year related to Dubois County Sheriff Tom Kleinhelter, who is the sheriff of Dubois County, appears to be close associate of Governor Braun. The things that the state police uncovered, the State Board of Accounts uncovered, and then how this investigation kind of ultimately took a bizarre turn at the end. All right, so Kleinhelter was allegedly doing what with the money with the commissary?
He was a bit freewheeling with it a bit. I mean, there were some questionable expenditures, which is generally how this happens. And by the way, the vast majority of sheriffs in Indiana are wonderful people.
Yeah.
So I'm not categorizing everybody into the same category, but essentially was purchasing travel, flights, hotels for both he and his wife. And it's a lot of money, right? I mean, we're talking like trip to Arizona, Florida, Dubai. And he was trying to, correct me if I'm wrong, he was trying to say these are valid sheriff-related type Correct.
of
That's
expenses.
right.
Now, Dubai seems very far away to be sheriffing, but
Agreed.
The real issue was that his wife was involved in the travel, correct?
Let me go ahead and fill you in on a little bit more so you're not so surprised when I show you the documents. But to cover up, this sheriff tried to deputize his wife on paper. He tried when he got caught to hide it, to like cover up, to make it not as illegal. He tried to deputize his wife on paper and send that back to the State Board of Audits to like get out of trouble. He was caught. Put a one in chat if you think it sounds like this motherfucker was caught red-handed with his pants down, like they need to do in Meade County, Kentucky. Busted.
Correct.
Yes. And then how the money was moving out of commissary to personal accounts back to the commissary, personal credit cards.
I'm going to show you the documentation. It's absolute proof here in a minute. I just want you to tell me if you agree that it sounds like this dude was caught with his pants down. Does it sound like it?
And that was all done through forensic evaluation and through the process of the investigation. And it was found that the money did not land where it should have landed.
Now, according to 14news.com, who covered this, they claim $9,000 of those funds that were being investigated were travel expenses, we said, 2021 to 2023, that it also showed that the sheriff spent nearly $8,000 on prepaid gift cards and employee gift cards. These are all things that the State Board of Accounts uncovered in their investigation.
That's right.
And there was a way he was reporting it that was also a red flag as well, because the county government is supposed to oversee this, and there were ways he was allegedly reporting this that might have been to evade detection.
And was a bit obstinate throughout the course of the process with the council and the commissioners. I've talked to one of the commissioners down there by design, for no nefarious reason, of course. but to just let him know what we would do and why we would do this. And the common theme seemed to be that he was being a bit obstinate, not wanting to report.
Okay, let's take a break. Our guest this hour, special guest, former.
All right. Not only was he not willing to work with investigators trying to cover up, I mean, but this dude was taking aggressive action to try to like make it disappear. And they caught him. Like they caught him with all of it. You'll see the documents here in a minute. I'm going to skip their break. We'll listen to just a little bit more. I'm going to be leaving the links to everything that you're going to see on the screen in the description, but I want to show you some documentation here soon. So let's keep moving on the statement, because if you recall, it was said in that article that Doug Carter, the former superintendent, is basically just like flat out accusing the senator of making this investigation disappear for his buddy, the sheriff, and also campaign supporter.
Former Indiana State of misuse of money. An investigation Sheriff Carter helped launch when he was the superintendent of state police, and an investigation that mysteriously went away. It's Ken and Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Form technology.
Flash with the finish.
And we are talking of Governor Mike Braun. State police under Sheriff Carter felt like they had a strong investigation. And once Governor Braun became the governor and a new superintendent was in place, the investigation, the case itself mysteriously went away. So if you are just joining us, we'll pick up here with Sheriff Carter. This investigation that you guys did as state police was triggered by an investigation from the State Board of Accounts. The State Board of Accounts then comes to you, the state police, or they come to you directly and say, we've uncovered these things. We think, because we don't have any arrest power, things of nature, you need to investigate this.
That's correct.
Then what?
So we did. We accepted it. We assigned an organized crime and corruption detective to this specific case, and that was back in July of 2024, just last year.
Are there certain markers that you have to notice before you'll say yes to doing it?
There are. It's a great question. From the State Board of Accounts, generally not, because we have such a relationship with them and with their past of law enforcement experience. Generally, we take those every time. But there are some, if they're just speculative, if there's a rumor, if we hear from just a single individual that I think, hey, this is what's happening there, we won't initially start that. We won't help local entities, agencies, police agencies do this work with policy as an example. There's got to be a criminal predicate before we do this, because we know it's very sensitive. And this is a big deal.
And obviously this guy was clearly tied into the governor in terms of being friends and political allies, and it's the home county of
the home county, of course.
Right.
Sure.
So at some point, you guys launch the investigation. A special prosecutor then becomes a part of this. How does that work?
That's right. That a court will the prosecuting attorney's council gets involved in that, and there are certain attorneys that are willing to do this kind of work. So through the court, through another group of prosecutors, Holly Huddleston from Orange County was selected, and she agreed to take the case, which isn't, by the way, it's in an adjoining county to Dubois.
Yeah. Okay, so you
adjoining county,
you assign a detective, and you weren't real happy with how you felt that investigation was going. Is that correct?
Well, here's what happened, just very directly.
The investigation was going great. They were getting all the documents. They had all the proof they needed. They had 80-some pages of probable cause all done. They had already obtained warrants with probable cause, found what they were looking for. They had this guy caught with his pants down. And then now Doug's going to tell you what happened. The truth about what happened. We're truth seekers here, right? With the people.
When that investigation was assigned, it's pretty clear generally, and with the report that I read from the State Board of Accounts, it's pretty clear what's happened here.
So you get to see it, right? You kind of have an idea of how open and shut this thing might be.
And especially on the heels of Clark County and Jamie Null, I wanted to make darn good and sure we were doing everything absolutely correctly.
Yeah.
And so I would periodically get updates about where it was, what was happening, and it didn't happen very quickly. I think the initial detective had it 5 or 6 weeks, and he decided to go to Holly Huddleston, the prosecutor, and basically say nothing here. But there was not one document created, no case report, no probable cause affidavit. There were not interviews done. There was no forensic evaluation done.
He's talking about the original detective that was assigned to the case. He didn't do anything. That's what Doug's saying. The original detective assigned to the case before Jeff got it, before Hearon got it, the cop that busted Jamie Null, before Hearon got it, the original cop that was on the case did nothing. No probable cause, no reports, no nothing. Just a weird meeting at an office you're about to hear about.
There were no search warrants done. And come to find out, I don't think his heart was in this. I'd like to think that it wasn't capricious.
And you were concerned enough about this. Former Indiana State Superintendent Doug Carter is our guest. If you're just joining us, we're talking about this case involving the Dubois County Sheriff, whose name is Tom Kleinhelter, and allegations of government corruption. And we'll take you through. I mean, it's a very, very odd story, and Doug has been gracious enough to come in and fill us in on this today and where this case is at now and some of the crazy turns it's taken. So you were not happy with the job this detective was doing, and you said somebody else got to look at this because I've seen this case. There's more than this here.
Well, and again, I never thought there was anything nefarious to it at all at the time. I just thought it's a long ways away. Jasper's a long ways from Indianapolis.
Yeah,
he was complaining about some discomfort.
The detective that had the case.
That had the case initially, yeah. And I can't ever. Of the hundreds.
What do y'all think? Make your opinion known in chat. What do you think this detective's discomfort that he was complaining to his supervisors was about? I got my idea. I'll bet you he was not comfortable running a public corruption case on the senator, then senator, now governor's campaign buddy, aka sheriff of the town that Braun grew up in. I bet he had some discomfort. Y'all say in chat what you think made him uncomfortable about that, what he's worried about.
These we did while I was there for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
None of them ended this way. This process, the normal process that we took, stopped on this day when he went without any documentation to sit down with the prosecutor and have that conversation. I'd like to know who told him to do that.
So yeah, that's not typical.
No, it's not typical at all. No, it's.
Did you hear that? We're going to go documentation here now. Did you hear that? So, the original investigator gets pulled into the prosecutor's office. No, nothing. Didn't get anything accomplished on it. No probable cause, no ask for warrants, no reports, no nothing. He tells his supervisors, oh my gosh, I'm very uncomfortable doing this case on this particular guy. You know, this sheriff at Dubois, you know, who's good buddies with the governor. And he gets pulled into this prosecutor's office, which is not normal. And then he's like, I'm not going to do anything on this. There's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. And like his supervisor, you know, the one you're listening to talk is Doug. He says, whoa, what do you mean there's nothing to see? What are you doing in the prosecutor's office? What? That's not how this works. He said, hold on. No, we've done. He's like, I just got done doing the biggest corruption case in the state ever. And yeah, you're probably not fit for this, buddy. He says, let me get Jeff, the guy that handled Jamie Null. Let me get that guy on it. So he gets Jeff on it. I'm going to show you what Jeff accomplished. And bear with me. I got to pull that back up. Actually, I think we can get it from links. Just bear with me here. Here we go. We're going to take a look at that audit that got him caught first. We'll start there. We'll start with the audit that got him caught. And this is what the State Board of Accounts found. Like the original audit where they were like, whoa, where's all that money at that you're supposed to have accounted for? Like, what are you doing, man? Trips with your wife who's not a cop and you're trying to pretend she is? And why are you going to Dubai and playing golf all the time? What's with you buying all these Blackstone grills? man, something ain't looking right. So that, here's the audit. We'll go over that real quick. At least just scroll through it. Where'd it go? Oh, oops. I meant to pull it up. I got the wrong one here. Should be there. Is it on the screen yet? That was my email to myself. Should be on the screen. Is it not? It will be. Ah, that's it. Never mind. I hit the wrong one. There we go. All right. Let's take a look at this. I need to move that over here so I do it right. Okay. I think we can. I don't know if I can move that around. All right. You can see that. All right. So this is State Board of Accounts. They filed this thing. It's just normal audit. And so they're doing their audit on the sheriff's department. And when they get to the commissary, they say, sheriff would like to let you know that there was a period in time here during this audit where, some things ain't coming back right, particularly within the jail commissary fund. So we need you to tell us what's going on because you're in non-compliance. So we do find that non-compliance exists. That's unidentified. We're going to have to figure this thing out. So the sheriff gets the scare letter. And here's what they're looking at originally. They're like, commissary fund, that they were doing things that did not fall under the sheriff's discretionary spending authority set under the Indiana State Code. So these expenditures were approved by the sheriff, Kleinhelter. Indiana State Board of Account auditors determined that additional procedures were needed to evaluate expenditures from the fund, starting on the date to the date where they did the audit. So as a county sheriff, he oversaw the jail commissary fund established under Indiana Code 36.81021. All monies received from the jail commissaries. They're letting him know, they're like, this is your purview, sheriff. This is your responsibility. So what's going on here? And here's what they found. They found this one, that he's spending all this money, this training event, reimbursement for airfare to Dubai. You see this? Reimbursement for airfare to Dubai. It says for a World Police Summit, but when it got looked into, it gets a little deeper. Apparently, him and his wife just enjoyed really flying around and pretending that they were doing police seminars. So they were like, whoa, this, look, we got all the proof right here that this kind of stuff is happening, and it's not matching up. It's not matching up with what's supposed to match up, and basically just money's missing. So he ended up not going to Dubai, and he got a reimbursement for it in cash. And it was like a lot of money. And then, so they're saying, hey, man, your wife that went with you is not an employee. Like, what are you doing? Why is your wife going with you? That's not legal. So they got concerned, and this is what their audit came back with. This is telling them what it's supposed to go to, right? It's saying under Title 30 or under Section 36, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And like, here's the law, just as a reminder, Sheriff. And then any of this stuff, you could be held accountable for because it's criminal. So they let the sheriff know, hey, man, you got flagged. Here's some problems here. Now, this is just a state board of audits. And look at all this stuff. They nailed him. And this was what they found before it got ran through the ISP investigation. They found $16,774 missing, and 7,921.76 that had been put back, or actually taken and used as gifts. Gifts? Like what? So, yeah, he ain't looking good. He's pretty much caught. Would you all say that that's proof? Put a one in chat if you think that that's proof. This right here is proof of crime. Is that, put a one in chat if you think just this. I'm talking before the investigation. Just this is proof, right? That there's crime going on. I mean, dude he's caught right here with all this money that does not make sense, and they're saying where it went. Like they found where it went. It's $16,774.71. What would happen if you citizens took $16,774.71 from your boss? You'd go to jail, right? There wouldn't be any opportunities. There wouldn't be no, oh, let me go talk to my buddy. There wouldn't be any, no, I didn't take it. Let me hurry up and put some money back. There wouldn't be no opportunities to cover up. What would happen if you stole $16,000, almost $17,000, and your boss could prove that you straight up stole it? That would be it, right? But not for the sheriff, okay? Not for the sheriff who's got the hookup. That wasn't enough. It gets better. So now what we're going to look at, I'm going to show you all a probable cause affidavit of after the first investigator got scared and backed out, which is what probably happened. He probably was threatened or told to back off or promised that his career was going to end early or something like that. So he backed out, and then Jeff got it through Doug. Jeff Hearon, the one that convicted Jamie Null. So he gets a hold of it, and he works. He does the job. So he gets it done. Let's go back to the article, and I will bring you to the probable cause affidavit. Oh, that's hang on. There you go. There were 80-some pages where Heron absolutely proved. Oh, wait, 190 pages. I'm sorry. 190 pages. You all remember what he did on the Jamie Null case? It was like 100 and some odd pages, and they were all spot on. None of them had any misses or mistakes in them. You know, granted, they didn't get all the crimes solved, but what they did catch, they caught perfectly well. And so that's this version of this case from that officer, from that detective. So he is doing his job, and he has got this shit figured out. You know, this probable cause is solid. I've looked through it. I didn't read all of it because, you know, I mean, I want to dig further into this case, and I'm sure at some point I'm going to have to read all these pages. But I looked through a lot of it, and it looked like similar to what he did with Jamie Null case. So, you know, there wasn't nothing to say that there's any reason to question that the dude went through and did his due diligence. And there's some of the stuff I see right here. So he's got receipts, literally receipts. You know, he's showing where the money went. You know, he obtained the actual copies of the checks, the receipts, caught this sheriff with his pants down and proved it. Do you all want to know what happened when he did that? I'll leave a link to all this so that you can go through all of it. But I mean, look, he's even showing the airline tickets, you know, the refunds, like you know, where are we at? Like this is busted, right? Like you're caught, and he's doing it right with search warrants. He got probable cause to get the search warrants. They did the searches. I mean, y'all have seen this group of cops, like literally that cop, Hearon, you have seen him in my videos, like doing raids on Jamie Null. You watched on my camera this officer conducting these search warrants on Jamie Null. We've met him several times. You all have seen him talk to the camera on this channel multiple times. I mean, he did his job. So he did his job so well in this case. He did his job so well in this case on the governor's buddy that they took action against him. Yeah, they needed to shut him up. So Lieutenant Hearon, who was probably the last good apple, the last hope for government accountability for an officer of the law in the state of Indiana in the Indiana State Police capacity to actually bust a corrupt government official. He was probably our last hope. And what did they do to him? Well, they punished him. Let me go back. I'll show you this. They punished him for doing his job. That's what they did. They disciplined him because he wrote an email back to the prosecutor who decided there was nothing she wanted to pursue. And he said, "What do you mean? Like, we've got this. It's an open and shut case. What do you mean you won't pursue it?" You know how hard me and my team, that's what he was doing. So he sent an email saying, no. And she reported that. Not even properly. She didn't do an actual grievance. She called a couple buddies. Wonder how that worked. And all of a sudden, Hearon finds himself in the disciplinary action office. And they say, "Hey, you wrote an email to the prosecutor saying that you were sure that she needed to take this up." So he was standing on it. Good job, Mr. Hearon, if you're watching. Well done. He was standing on it. He said, "We have it. What are you doing?" He said, "Let's go. Let's do this thing. You need to do this. Don't back out. This is our job." And they said that right there was him being too pushy. They said that was a problem because he was discourteous to another employee. That's what they said here. They said he was discourteous to another employee. They said that he was overbearing. You see that? Overbearing and oppressive. That's what these are. So he was discourteous and overbearing. And then he said, "You know what? Other officials need to see this." So he sent the documentation apparently to a couple other public officials that he thought, "Man, I can't be the only good apple. Somebody's got to want to press charges with this. Somebody's got to want to get this done because we have to answer to the people of Indiana. This is my job. I've been here for 45 years." And he sends a couple of the probable cause affidavits out to a couple of government officials, and they report that back to Indiana State Police, and he got charged for that. They said he disseminated information non-disclosable to the public related to police work without permission. Look, he sent it to a commissioner. He sent it to president of Dubois City Council. And he sent it to Prosecutor Huddleston. So he just sent it to a few people that he thought would make this happen. And instead, he got written up for it and demoted. And now they put him in a position where he can do no good for Indiana. He can do no good for Indiana. So we're going to try to get, we're going to now Jeff still works there. I don't think that he can, by policy, come speak with us. And I wouldn't ask him to because he's already suffering enough as it is. You know, and I only know him through the Jamie Null investigation. But I also only know this guy on the screen, this Doug. He was like the right-hand man throughout the investigation. He's the ISP superintendent. He's retired now because of all this shit. I have reached out, made a couple phone calls. I'm told that he would like to come talk to us about both Jamie Null and maybe this. So we're gonna try to get more of the wheels turning on that. Hopefully I'll get a call from him this week. Maybe we'll do 2 shows. Maybe we'll do 2 shows together. One over Jamie Null because he no longer works there, so now he's free to speak. So, and like I said, you know, this is a very professional man. I doubt that I mean, you shouldn't expect him to just like come hard and throwing everybody under the bus. He's not going to do that. He's going to respectfully just tell us the truth. That's what I believe. I think he'll come here and I think he'll respectfully tell us the truth, and he will factually speak about both cases, you know. So let's give an FPS welcome to Doug when he does come, and make sure that he feels like we appreciate that him and Jeff stood 10 toes down for we the people and intended on getting the criminals out of Indiana government. There's a lot more to cover on this, but like I said, I want to save it because I think we're going to have an interview with Doug. So that's all I got for tonight. That's it. I'm going to go eat and I'll probably watch a little YouTube. So I will see you all on the YouTube streets, and I'm sure. And yeah, that's it. So let me give an out right here. But I love y'all very much. I very much appreciate the support. We have been going real hard on some of the aggressive, obsessed stalkers that are trying to get in the mix in my open case. Yeah, we're going real hard. So, I mean, have to. We got to protect ourselves. We got to protect our family. This shit, you know, trying to get innocent people locked up because you're getting paid by a government official. I'm talking to you, Todd, you ugly, dumb fuck. You know, they're over kicking and screaming, wanting attention. You know, the problem is when you start poking and prodding and trying to destroy families, that's when we got to protect ourselves. So, you know, how long did you think I was going to stay in the corner? You know what I'm saying? Before I come out and lash your fucking beard off, bitch. So I hate to put that on the end of this video because we were very professional throughout the whole thing, but you all do need to know that that is what we've been up to, is handling fucking business. I will not be wrongfully committed to years in prison just because some fag on YouTube's got a problem with me being innocent. Because why? Because you get a few dollars, because you get a little attention. You know, that ain't how the world works. You don't just throw a father or a person who's being a stepfather. You don't just throw an innocent person and tear a family apart who are doing their thing way more productive than anybody that Scarborough has ever employed. And think you're just going to willy-nilly just get away with it because you have a few haters that love to watch drama on YouTube. No, sir. We're boots to ground in your town. We're on your back doorstep. Love you guys. See you on the next one.